everybody. Hope you enjoyed the time lapse. So a couple things I didn't show you there. The first start wasn't 100% successful. I kind of alluded to this in one portion of the video when I showed you what had to happen on the passenger side, I'm sorry, the driver's side. Headers where I had to clearance the flanges to clear the head bolts. When I installed the passenger side, it seemed to go on fine. I mean, I had to fight it a little bit, but everything seemed to line up. I got everything installed. Like I said, I only clearanced the first time around the driver's side. And then I started the truck, and to be honest, it sounded more like an old Harley Davidson with straight pipes than it did a truck. It was having trouble idling. It flooded there for a little bit, and I was really confused. Shut it off. I knew something was wrong. And then I started looking around, started pulling the plugs. The first 3 plugs I pulled, the porcelain area on the outside of the plug was totally black, which was weird. So basically, cylinders number 2, 4, and 6 were like that. 8 wasn't too bad, and then when I pulled the driver's side, 1, 3, 5, and 7, those were totally fine. So started looking some more. I saw a bunch of discoloration around the cylinder heads, and I realized that there was a massive exhaust leak on the passenger side, and that was the noise I was hearing. So I was hoping that that was the only problem, and I'll show you a clip real quick here of what it sounded like. So as you can see, it did not sound good. It's always exciting to get it started for the first time, and you always hope that it goes seamlessly, but you know, it didn't. So I wound up pulling that off, pulled the header off and started looking at it, and I saw some indentations, which you'll see here in the picture, where it was actually hitting all the head bolts, which was probably what was happening on the driver's side as well. So all I can figure from that, because I don't know how much different the aftermarket cylinder heads are in terms of geometry where those exhaust ports are placed, but maybe to have a straighter flowing path, they're at a slightly different location. What I'm kind of thinking is the ARP head bolts that come with this kit. I think because ARP uses that washer with the taper in it that you lubricate, it actually sits the head of the bolt up, you know, maybe, I don't know, 100 thousandths higher, and that's all it took. So if you have the same situation, what I recommend you do is get the headers on there and then take a Sharpie. I took a gold Sharpie and I marked all the locations, and I went back with the grinder, grinded those, set the header flange or the header back in place, had to grind more, took it back off again. But luckily, once I got it put back on that second time or third time, whatever it was, got everything good, it fired up, it idled, it sounded great. Talk through some of the other issues that I came across. So similar to my Holley sniper video, if you like that video, it's going to be kind of a similar idea. I'm going to talk through the issues that I ran into and hopefully help you guys out if you're doing something similar on your old car. Okay, here. So these are the head gaskets that the kit comes with, and if you look at the fine print when you order, they don't give you an option for different styles of coolant passages. The big differences here are on my motor, there are large holes in the cylinder heads in these locations. These gaskets don't have those. So there's another part number, which I'll post. It's not this one. And it's for the slightly later Mark IV big block Chevys that have those coolant passages in it. So depending on what year your block is, you want to make sure that don't put these on, because if you do, you're going to block flow and you're going to have cooling problems. So that's just one thing to look at. Plugs. And both these issues really aren't something like, I won't fault Edelbrock for this. You can just read the instructions. I mean, I guess the head gaskets was something that
without having your heads off. You don't know what you have. This was my fault. I didn't read the instructions. I was using E3 spark plugs before, and I seem to like the way they work, but with these heads, you're kind of limited to only a few spark plugs. They want you to run a Champion, and it's the gasketed style. So these E3s that I had, which I liked, they're a tapered thread, so you want to get the right ones they call for with the correct reach. I believe it's a 3/4 inch reach. I don't think those were quite so long. So just make sure that you pick up the correct spark plugs to go along, otherwise you won't be able to start. Okay, a couple more things here. The valve covers, I was running like the smaller, lower profile. These are my old heads here. Valve covers the first time around, but these probably would not fit the taller rocker arms. So you want to go ahead and get yourself, these are just Summit Racing aluminum. I think they look pretty good. Some people complain about the hardware, but so far they've been okay. But I guess we will see if they leak or not. I hope they don't, because everything looks nice and shiny. But you want to go ahead and get yourself some taller valve covers. Oh, I guess I got to put something on there. That looks like that's going to come loose. What else can I show you? Oh, a lot of people complain about this Cloy's timing cover. It's a really nice billet unit. It has the ability to set your thrust end play. Can't really see it, but it's in the time lapse for the hydraulic roller cam. If you don't do that, there's nothing to stop a hydraulic roller cam because there's no taper in the lobes from sliding forward or back. So basically, if it starts walking one way or the other, it can actually contact an adjacent lifter, which would totally destroy either the lifter and or the cam and put a bunch of metal shavings in your motor. So you need some sort of special timing cover or thrust button or something to set that end play, which I did here. They talk about having issues with water pumps. As you can see, I guess I must have the longer water pump because there are no problems here. There's no clearance issues. People talking about having to come and take these bolt heads and grind them down and clearance things. And you can even see where they've milled from the factory here in the timing cover on both sides to clear a short water pump, but I guess I don't have a short water pump, so that's not an issue for me. So that was good. What else can I show you that you may have to change? You know, it kind of came together pretty good. I will show you guys a picture here of the camshaft, because when I got the camshaft, I was surprised to see a little bit of what appeared to be surface rust on it. I got that cleaned off, or as best I could. I'll probably send some pictures to Edelbrock to see what they think, but otherwise, you know, it kind of went together pretty good. This kit is pretty good. I haven't really driven it yet, so I'll have to let you know more once I get it driving. Okay, I'm gonna try and make this part of the video pretty quick because it's cold, it's rainy, you might be able to hear the rain outside. We've been getting a ton of snow. I actually just got the truck back. I had it at the muffler shop. I moved up the dyno date because I've got some things going on at work. I'm gonna be pretty busy for a while. I won't have any videos made here for quite a bit, but I'm hoping to get the truck dynoed before that. I've had a chance to drive it around a little bit. So far, the first impressions have been great, as I've been saying. It runs great. Honestly, I think it actually drives better with the top end kit and the cam, which I thought, having other cam cars and trucks in the past, that I was gonna get some surging, some drivability issues, but the Holley Sniper has worked pretty awesome with that. There's still some lingering issues that I don't think have anything to do with this setup. I had them with the same, you know, I saw them, you could see them on the dyno in the graph before, like when you get on the gas, initially it would go a little bit lean and then it would, like, you know, kick in. So my goal for when I get this on the dyno next Wednesday is to make obviously as much power as possible. So what am I trying to do that? Well, I've got a couple different things that I want to try. One of the things is carb spacer. So I'm going to try this 1-inch carb spacer and see if it improves. We'll see if the dyno will let me run, you know, back to back or not, but I'm going to try and see if I can't make some more power with that. I'm going to show you a picture here. You can see the Edelbrock RPM air gap intake has a little notch in the center, and it's the way the dual plane intake manifolds work is you've got long runners and short runners, and
without that gap that's milled into, or cast into, I guess I should say, into the intake manifold, you would split. So like one side of the carburetor would only fit, you know, feed one on the other side, but it has that thing milled in, so you get some cross flow. So my thought, if a little bit of cross flow is good, maybe more is better. So I'm gonna hope that that 1-inch carb spacer helps. Probably won't help a ton, but they're inexpensive, so we're gonna try it anyway. Okay, so the bigger thing, I kind of mentioned here that I just got back from the muffler shop. So, show you here. Like I said, it's all, you know, snowy and rainy right now, but you can see my old exhaust system. There, I had MagnaFlow straight through mufflers, but they were 2.5 inch, they weren't mandrel bent, and they had no crossover pipe. So when you put your hand up to the exhaust, you got a ton of back pressure feeling from the exhaust. I figured with the big block, now especially since I've got the work done, let's bump that up. So I bumped it up to full 3-inch mandrel bent, so it never drops below 3-inch. I added a crossover pipe, which I'll show you here in the video. And I'll do a full another video here, hopefully next week sometime, to compare the 2.5 inch versus 3-inch. The sound's definitely different, but from a performance standpoint, I'm hoping that the H pipe will pick up some power and the less restriction will help as well. So that's two things I'm gonna do to try and maximize my dyno session. Another small thing that I'm gonna try here, and I don't know if this is really gonna make a big deal or not, but I did notice that I have my intake drops, or I'm sorry, my air cleaner has the drop in it. So what that means is, for hood clearance, the part that sits on top of the throttle body of the carburetor, it actually sits lower. What I've seen from watching Engine Masters, and I do a lot of this from watching Engine Masters, so shout out to Freiberger and Finnegan and Dulcich and West Tech Performance for that. But they did mention that by going to a flat top design, so the air cleaner doesn't sit down, and having a taller, so from a 3-inch to maybe let's say a 4-inch filter, that it directs the airflow more directly down. So I'm thinking that plus maybe the carb spacer, those two things might help pick up some power. So I'll just show you here real quick. I always am afraid to drop that somewhere. So you pop this off here, you can see that it's got that drop in it. You can see really good from that angle right there. So I'm gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna go to one that just has a, you know, totally flat deal. That should help a little bit as long as I don't run into hood clearance issues. So I may have to try and measure that first. But those are 3 things that I'm gonna do to try and make more power on the dyno. So we'll talk about one more thing for the end of the video, and that is how to improve drivability. So I'm gonna show you something real quick here that I think may help a little bit with the drivability aspect. Probably won't make more power, but I think will make it a little more enjoyable. Okay, so this part right here is Holley part number 20-122. I can't really see it super well, it's hidden in there, but basically this is the adjustable throttle linkage for the Holley Sniper. So what does that do? This allows you to fine tune when the primaries and the secondaries open. So we go over right now. I think you guys remember that I installed a progressive linkage in one of my earlier videos, and I talked about that a little bit. So my progressive linkage setup right now, if you look down the bore of the carburetor, as I let's try that again with more light. Okay, so as I open, see? Boom, now the secondaries come open. Now you're wide open, okay? But before that, I need more spring. You only get this to 40%. So that adjustable linkage is going to allow me to adjust it so that I can set when it opens. All right, why would you want to set that? So when you're driving around the street, what's nice about having the progressive linkage installed is taking off from a stoplight. It was quite difficult with just 1-to-1. So 1-to-1 meaning both the primary and secondaries, all 4 butterflies of the throttle body open at the same time. This being a stick, as I would let the clutch out, give it gas, it'd want to rip away from the stoplight. So that's not fun. So by going to the progressive linkage that I had before, I was able to drive essentially like driving on a carburetor with just the primaries up to 40%. Problem is, 40% is kind of a lot. So I'm gonna try it at maybe 30%, 20%, and see where feels fun. Because at the end of the day, I want this to be a hot rod. So I wanna be able to take off, you know, nice and easy from a light and gentle and not, you know, be reckless. But when I get on the gas, I want it to go. And I don't wanna wait till I get to 40% throttle to get the airflow that the engine needs. So we're gonna play with that a little bit and see how it does. Appreciate everyone's comments, you know, when you like, when you subscribe. You know, it means a lot to me. I'm trying to put this stuff together for you guys. Hopefully it'll help you guys out or girls out with similar projects that you're doing. So please please don't forget to subscribe. I want to hear your comments. I read all your comments. Let me know what you think it's going to make. So when it was stock and we had it on the dyno, and we're going back to the same dyno, it made, let's see, 326 horsepower at 4,200 RPM or 4,000. It was relatively low. I'll post a picture of the dyno graph. And it made 459 foot-pounds of torque. So what do you think that it will make now? I want to hear. Post in the comments. Let me know what you think. Can't wait to get this on the dyno.